It's important to remember that we are all different and all of us require different macronutrient ratios. You may also discover that you require different macronutrient ratios at different times of day. For instance, you might do great with an almost entirely meat-based breakfast, a more even lunch, and a dinner with more carbohydrates than fats and proteins. And the only way to find out this is by doing it. Welcome to this episode of the Adult Acne Podcast. And in this episode, I'll be discussing the first part of the Acne Elimination Diet, and we'll be discussing the importance of individualized eating, meal planning, grocery shopping, macronutrient ratios, food quality, and supplementation for overcoming acne. Enjoy. Hippocrates once said, "Let food be thy medicine, and let medicine be thy food." And I couldn't agree more with Hippocrates' quote. Welcome to this episode of the Adult Acne Podcast, and in this episode I'll be discussing the Acne Elimination Diet. The Acne Elimination Diet is possibly the most important aspect of eliminating your acne after getting your mindset right before beginning your acne recovery journey. The Acne Elimination Diet is a number of different concepts I've blended together based on my professional training, personal experience as a practitioner coaching clients to overcome acne, and studying the scientific research. The Acne Elimination Diet is crucial if you want to achieve perfect, glowing skin and finally say goodbye to red, blotchy, itchy, painful, embarrassing, and ugly skin. After all, you are what you eat, or perhaps more importantly, you are what you digest. I will say that if you have mercury fillings or root canal filled teeth, it might be the most important thing to address first, and I will cover this subject in a future episode. The first thing to consider on the Acne Elimination Diet is metabolic typing. Metabolic typing gives you the foundation for improving your health and therefore your skin from the inside out, which is partly why I often say acne is an inside job. Metabolic typing might be all you need to do to achieve clear skin and regain your self-esteem and confidence. It forms the foundation for the health of all the systems in your body, including all your organs, of which your skin is just one. It's therefore crucial that you follow a diet right for your metabolic type. Eating right for your type is a non-negotiable part of the way I work with my acne clients. What you put in your mouth has a major effect on your whole body as well as your skin. Think about it. If you had a plant that was dying, you'd wonder what you had to feed it to make it better. You wouldn't, for instance, paint its leaves green because they were turning brown. Health and healthy skin comes from the inside out, and what you feed yourself, just like a plant, is of paramount importance. If you put junk in your body, you'll get junk out, literally. Every action in the universe has a consequence, known as cause and effect. Some people might get acne from a poor diet, whilst others might get obese, have diabetes or heart disease, or possibly develop cancer. Quite simply, metabolic typing is the ultimate diet if you want to detoxify and improve the look of your skin. Metabolic typing understands that every one of us is unique, so what's right for you is not necessarily good for your partner, friends, or work colleagues, so there is no one specific clear skin diet in inverted commas that everyone can follow, because that's not how nature works. William Walcott, the world's most renowned expert on metabolic typing and author of the Metabolic Typing Diet, has made it clear that the right diet for you is predominantly dependent on your genetics, and secondly, on your environment or your epigenetics. At a basic level, if your ancestors over the last 10,000 years came from a cold climate where the ground freezes for part of the year and there was an abundance of game meat available, your body is likely to flourish with a diet high in animal-based foods plus a small amount of plant-based foods. Conversely, if your ancestors came from a warm climate with access to vegetation all year round and very little meat or fish available, your body is likely to flourish with a diet high in plant-based foods with a small amount of animal-based foods. Not only does eating right for your metabolic type increase energy, normalize body weight, and eliminate cravings, but it also enables optimal energy production in every cell of the body. When each cell in your body produces an adequate amount of energy, it optimizes the detoxification of the cells, and optimal detoxification is a key aspect in helping prevent acne in the long run. Metabolic typing also allows you to stabilize blood sugar levels and therefore insulin and IGF-1, which is crucial in the prevention of acne. Blood sugar levels can be tested using a glucometer, which you can buy online or via your local pharmacy. It's very simple to use and requires a simple finger prick to test, or you can now purchase a continuous glucose monitor where you don't need to take a blood reading, but they are more expensive and not yet quite as accurate. I have used metabolic typing with my clients since 2004 and have helped many people to achieve amazing health, including helping them and myself achieve clear skin. I highly recommend taking the metabolic typing questionnaire. There is a small fee, but it will tell you your type and establish the foods that are right for you. You can find the instructions on how to take the online questionnaire on my website at www.eliminateadultacne.com/resources. If you aren't able to or do not wish to take the metabolic typing test online, I have listed 6 different metabolic typing diet plans in my book, including the exclusion of any foods known to cause acne. So it's kind of done for you a little bit. Without testing, the only way to find out which foods are causing your acne would be to try each one in turn in an elimination diet, which could take months to complete. There are also options for simpler tests in William Walcott's book, The Metabolic Typing Diet, or the Primal Pattern Diet Type Questionnaire in Paul Chek's book, How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy, which is a more simplified version of metabolic typing. The tests in these books will not give you the level of detail in terms of the test results compared to the online questionnaire, nor will they give you the same level of advice as the online test. I do wish to make it clear that I have no financial interest in any of the suggested tests. However, when working with my clients, I do pass on the cost of the online metabolic typing test to them. If you complete the online test, it will tell you your dominant metabolic type. Some people are oxidizer dominant, while others are autonomic dominant. If you're oxidizer dominant, there are 3 types of oxidizer dominance: slow oxidizer, fast oxidizer, and mixed oxidizer. Again, though the theory behind these diets is quite complex, in this episode I will explain them in as simple terms as possible. The rate of oxidation in the body when discussing metabolic typing refers to the speed at which nutrients are converted into energy. A slow oxidizer turns nutrients into energy slowly, a fast oxidizer turns nutrients into energy quickly, and a mixed oxidizer is somewhere in between. If you are autonomic dominant, there are again 3 types of autonomic dominance: sympathetic, parasympathetic, and balanced. In simple terms, some people are sympathetic dominant and require foods that push their systems more towards parasympathetic. Others are parasympathetic dominant and require foods to push their system towards the sympathetic to maintain balance. A balanced type requires food from both sides to remain in balance. For a deeper explanation of metabolic typing, you may wish to read The Metabolic Typing Diet by William Walcott and Trish Fahey. So why is it important to understand metabolic typing when it comes to acne? Well, to create optimal energy on the cellular level, which includes the detoxification of cells, a slow oxidizer needs foods that is quite easy or fast to digest, whilst a fast oxidizer needs foods that take longer to break down and digest. In my book, Eliminating Adult Acne for Good, I provide the 6 metabolic typing diet plans where green foods are what we'd call the ideal foods and should make up most of your diet. Black foods can be eaten in small amounts, whilst the red foods should be completely avoided. In the mixed oxidizer diet plan and the balanced type diet plan, there are also purple foods. If your type is a mixed oxidizer, you should eat purple foods together and green foods together and try not to mix them in the same meal. This will help to maintain optimum blood sugar levels and avoid blood sugar surges that can cause the breakouts. The next thing I want to discuss is the 4-day diet plan. So once you have your list of ideal foods, you can prepare a 4-day diet plan. This is where I provide my clients with a template to design 4 days worth of menus. You can find a copy of this template at www.eliminateadultacne.com/resources. Not only does this help you plan what you will eat each day, but it will also provide you with your first grocery shopping list. Whilst the template provides space for eating 5 times a day, it doesn't mean that you have to eat that often. Most people, especially when they're eating right for their type, only need to eat between 2 and 4 times per day. Simon suffered from acne as a teenager and at the age of 21 began taking the antibiotic erythromycin, which didn't work, and so as a last resort, he took Accutane for 4 to 5 months. And whilst he had some good days on Accutane, he still had breakouts. Simon was constantly anxious whenever the inevitable would happen and his skin would break out. From the age of 23 to 25, Simon went back on erythromycin and again the results were disappointing. Simon came to see me at the age of 31 and immediately changed his diet, especially reducing foods that would spike his blood sugar. He also introduced some essential supplements, started drinking more water and reduced his alcohol intake to almost zero. At the same time Simon started working with me, his doctor prescribed antibiotics for what he thought was Lyme disease, which was later diagnosed as a fungal rash. Following the antibiotics, Simon started taking Saccharomyces boulardii to help rebalance his gut microbiome. A couple of months in, Simon reported that his skin was as good as it had been in a long time, and he has now experienced the longest spell without breakouts since he was a teenager. Simon is no longer anxious about experiencing breakouts because he knows that he is in control of how his skin looks via his lifestyle choices, which has been very liberating for him. If you would like to achieve the same kind of result as Simon, you can now follow a comprehensive step-by-step guide in my book, Eliminating Adult Acne for Good, available now from all major online bookstores and via my website at www.bodycheck.co.uk/books. When completing your 4-day diet plan, ensure that you include all ingredients such as herbs and spices and fats and oils that you may use when cooking your meals. Also, try to include some cooked and some raw food in each meal. I recommend preparing a 4-day diet plan at the start of each season, so spring, summer, autumn or fall and winter, not only because different foods will be in season at different times, but also because your desires will change with the seasons and your metabolic type will also change a little. I've also included diet plans for each metabolic type at eliminateadultacne.com/resources. Having different diet plans throughout the year will also help prevent boredom and increase the variety of nutrients that you consume. The next important part of metabolic typing is the fine-tuning. Once you know which foods are right for you, you will need to fine-tune the fats, proteins and carbohydrates, which are also known as the macronutrient ratios. Whenever we eat, the food affects 3 main things: our satiety levels, our feelings of fullness, our energy levels and our emotions. Ideally, 1 to 2 hours after eating, we experience a continued feeling of satiety, increased energy levels and an improvement in our emotional well-being. So 1 to 2 hours after eating, we need to check in to decide whether we are still satiated, have good energy levels, and are emotionally uplifted. If not, we are receiving feedback from our body-mind that there was something not quite right in the meal. If you had 1 or more negative reactions to the meal, such as craving sweets, it might be that you ate too much, didn't eat enough, or had too many carbs, or not enough fat, as an example. If you eat a meal and 1 to 2 hours after you feel great, I suggest you recognize the makeup of that meal, the size and the proportion of the macronutrient ratios. The next time you have a meal, try one that's the same size with the same macronutrient ratios and see if you experience the same reaction. If you did, that's great. You're finding out what works for you and dialing in to your optimal macronutrient ratio. If, however, you experience a negative reaction such as sweet cravings, hunger, energy crashes, and so on, that's okay. It means you're learning what is not right for you. Perhaps the next time you have the same meal, try, say, fewer carbohydrates and more fat and protein, and note how you respond. If you respond better, that's great. Perhaps try fewer carbohydrates and even more fat and protein the next time and see how you respond. Keep going in that direction until you feel as if you have achieved a less favorable response. And when you do, your previous meal was in your sweet spot. So that's what we call the fine tuning. So when I discuss the macronutrient ratios, carbohydrates, fats and proteins, people often ask, how do I know which foods have which micronutrients? In simple terms, carbohydrates are found in fruits, vegetables, legumes, also in grains and dairy, but you need to be careful with grains and dairy if you have acne. Proteins are found in meat, poultry, fish, offal, eggs and dairy. Again, you need to be careful with the dairy. Fats are also found in the protein foods suggested above, plus avocado, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, tallow, duck fat, goose fat, butter, ghee, nuts and seeds. But again, you need to be careful with nuts and seeds. It's important to remember that we are all different and all of us require different macronutrient ratios. You may also discover that you require different macronutrient ratios at different times of day. For instance, you might do great with an almost entirely meat-based breakfast, a more even lunch, and a dinner with more carbohydrates than fats and proteins. And the only way to find out this is by doing it. You can also assess your meals by checking your blood sugar levels with a glucometer, as mentioned previously. The ideal times to check your blood sugar are upon awakening, before lunch, before dinner, and before bed. There are two types of glucometers that measure blood glucose via blood sample. One is calibrated for blood plasma, and the blood sugar level should be between 5 to 5.5 millimoles per litre, or 90 to 100 milligrams per deciliter. And the other is calibrated for whole blood, and the blood sugar level should be between 4.4 and 5 millimoles per litre, or 80 to 90 milligrams per deciliter. The instruction manual should state which type of glucometer you have. If the readings are outside of these parameters, it suggests that your blood sugar levels are out of balance. Ensuring that you eat right for your type is crucial, as is avoiding too much stress. I also use something called a diet check record sheet with my clients to help them fine-tune their diet. They complete the sheet 1 to 2 hours after each meal and send it to me for evaluation and feedback. You can also use it yourself to analyze and alter your diet based on your reactions and your previous meals. The diet check record sheets are used daily until you have totally dialed in your metabolic type. In addition to eating right for your metabolic type, avoiding foods you are sensitive to, and eliminating foods known to cause acne, you also need to consider food quality. Someone once said that not all food is created equal. That is certainly true. The longest study ever performed on organic versus non-organic produce was a 21-year study by Lady Eve Balfour, and it showed that organic soil contains 85% more microorganisms than non-organic soil, and it's the microorganisms in the soil that make the nutrients that feed the plants. If there are 85% fewer microorganisms in conventional, i.e. non-organic soils, then it doesn't take a brain surgeon to work out that there will be considerably fewer nutrients in crops grown in these soils. So what does that have to do with acne? As I've stated before, it's essential to optimize the level of nutrients available to all your organs, including your skin, to maintain a clear complexion. It's also imperative to minimize toxins in the body, as a backup of toxins may end up causing acne. Not only does non-organic produce have a much lower level of nutrients, but it also has dangerous and toxic chemicals such as pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, rodenticides, and chemical NPK fertilizer. Many pesticides now contain chemical hormones to prevent pests from reproducing, and as you may be aware, an imbalanced hormonal system can also cause acne, as well as many other disease states. Holly was a 28-year-old personal trainer suffering from acne when she first came to see me. Holly had terrible breakouts and felt embarrassed and like a fraud when training her clients, as she didn't think she was the perfect example of what it meant to be healthy. Even though she was a personal trainer and was trained in nutrition, she didn't realize the food that she ate caused her acne and affected her overall health. Following a few lab tests, it was discovered that Holly had fungal and parasite infections, as well as food sensitivities to gluten, egg, and soy. Holly changed her diet as advised, following a metabolic typing diet, eliminating sensitive foods, and following a plan to reduce her fungal and parasite infections and to help heal her gut. The program worked to treat for Holly, and she was completely spot-free relatively quickly once the program was in full flow. She now has much more confidence, especially at work, enjoys her social life, and no longer has to wear makeup to go out of the house, which she really loves. If you would like to achieve the same kind of result as Holly, you can now follow a comprehensive step-by-step guide in my book, Eliminating Adult Acne for Good, available now from all major online bookstores and via my website at www.bodycheck.co.uk/books. Eating food containing chemical toxins puts stress on your nervous system and hormonal systems in general, further increasing your likelihood of acne. So how do you eat a good quality food diet? Well, with regards to vegetables and fruit, eat as much of it from organic produce as possible, ideally 100% of it. Look for organic certification such as the Soil Association in the UK, or speak to your local farmer to ensure they don't use chemical fertilizers, hormones, and/or medical drugs, or feed their animals unnatural feed. With regards to meat, look for free-range organic or even better biodynamic, and animals that are fed their natural feed. For instance, many animals are fed grains when it isn't their natural diet. Chickens, for instance, naturally live off grass, worms and insects, while cows and sheep naturally eat grass, not wheat, corn or soy, which is cheap and used to fatten them up quickly and easily. The problem with unnatural diets is that it makes the animals toxic and sick, and you do not want to eat sick, toxic animals. With regards to fish, only buy wild fish, not farmed. Farmed fish are fed unnatural feed, swim in their own feces, in confined conditions, and are often sick. Even if the fish is organic, which means it's fed organic feed, it's not a healthy fish and will lack nutrients such as omega-3 oils, which are also important in the prevention of acne. Most fish are highly contaminated with mercury and other heavy metals. And as larger fish eat smaller fish, it's not advisable to eat large fish such as tuna or shark. If you're going to eat fish, choose smaller fish that contain less mercury. If buying salmon, only ever choose wild Alaskan, as the water is cleaner and the fish eat a natural diet, unless they are farmed, of course. A golden rule for eating quality food is to read labels and ask questions of your grocer, butcher, fishmonger, or waiter. Also, as Paul Chek, the founder of the Chek Institute, the man who got me started on my acne healing journey, says, if it wasn't available 10,000 years ago, don't eat it. Acne didn't exist 10,000 years ago, so I'd suggest not eating the things that help cause it now. Also, preparing to eat is important. Apart from eating the right food, you must also be aware of how to eat it too. You might think you know how to eat correctly, but sadly, the truth is that most people do not know how to get the most from their meals. In order to fully digest and assimilate our food's nutrients, we need to be in a state of relaxation, also known as a parasympathetic state. We need to ensure we are properly hydrated, which is necessary for our digestive juices to do their jobs. Apart from what you're about to eat, you must also consider where you're going to eat it. Many people eat whilst watching TV or their smart device, or at their desks at work, or at home whilst at the computer. None of these places are ideal. Making an effort to sit at a dining table or picnic table outdoors in nature when the weather allows is a great start. Eating whilst doing something that stimulates the mind means you're not switching off and getting into a relaxed state. Therefore, you will not be in an optimal state to fully digest your food. You need to ensure your eating environment is relaxed, quiet, and as low stress as you can possibly make it. Relaxing music also helps. Classical music, for instance, has been shown to aid in digestion. Once you've decided where you're going to eat, drink a glass of high-quality water 15 minutes before starting your meal to hydrate your digestive organs. Also, prior to the meal, you need to stimulate either the production of hydrochloric acid in the stomach or take hydrochloric acid supplements. Apple cider vinegar and Swedish bitters can also be used to stimulate hydrochloric acid. During a meal, you will also need enzymes in your small intestines to adequately break down the food. If you don't have a gallbladder, you'll also need to take some bile salts to help break down the fats in your diet. Another crucial thing is to chew every mouthful of food until it's liquidized before swallowing. The grinding down of food with your teeth breaks it down into constituent parts, whilst mixing the enzymes in your saliva to further break down the food to make it easier to digest. With regards to supplementation, once you've fine-tuned your macronutrient ratios, the next step is to add some essential supplements. If you take the online metabolic typing questionnaire, your essential supplements will be stated in your results report. There are 4 essential supplements that generally I recommend, but many people ask why can't they obtain all the nutrients they need from their diet? And that would be a very valid question. There are 2 main reasons why we often need dietary supplements. Firstly, the quality of food we eat, even organic, is far lower than would have been available to us 100 years ago. And secondly, the myriad of stressors we face depletes our nutrient resources. The supplements recommended as essential include digestive enzymes, preferably the right ones for your metabolic type, hydrochloric acid that are right for your metabolic type, multivitamin and minerals that are right for your metabolic type, and also a good quality fish oil / omega-3 fatty acid. Good sources of dietary supplements can be found at my website. Digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid can, in some cases, require a dose larger than the manufacturer's normal recommendation. Taking the right amount relies on you being aware of how you feel after your meals and adjusting accordingly. It's also worth bearing in mind that hydrochloric acid is also contraindicated if you have an H. pylori infection, meaning that if you have an H. pylori infection, please do not use hydrochloric acid supplements. It is standard practice to advise my clients to introduce no more than one supplement at a time. This is to highlight any potential negative reactions to a particular supplement. Otherwise, if you take more than one new supplement at a time and you have a negative reaction, you simply won't know which one is causing the reaction. I always advise taking a new supplement for 3 to 5 days before introducing another one to monitor for any negative reactions. In my experience, negative reactions to higher quality supplements are very rare, but they do happen. I once had a client, for instance, with negative reactions to the herb ashwagandha, but I've also had many other clients with nothing but positive responses to the same herb. So with food and supplements, it's always a case of test and see because we are all different. The quality of supplements is also essential. If you can't afford quality organic made from real food supplements, it is better to go without. Poor quality, cheap synthetic supplements are made in a lab, and our immune systems do not recognize them as food, which initiates an immune response and causes inflammation, one of the causes of acne. Like many other things in life, cheap supplements are nearly always poor quality supplements. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to send me your acne questions, and make sure to join me next time for more great information on how to eliminate your adult acne on the Adult Acne Podcast. And don't forget, make sure to like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.